Just talk about
What's up? How y'all doing?
Yo.
Big round of applause for yourselves. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for being here.
We got A-Train in the front. What's up, Jesse?
A-Train is always here.
Does this ever get tiring?
No.
No.
I
love panels. This is actually my favorite part of the con.
Really? Is there the Q&As?
Yeah, because you get to really connect with people that come. In the lines, you can only talk a little bit, but you don't want to be rude to the people that are waiting. But here, it's like you have an hour to just kind of ask questions and really get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah. Now, I got to talk to my brother here, a fellow Canadian. How is it feeling being on two really big shows right now? You got Ginny and Georgia, right? Yeah. And then you got the boys coming, and I'm gonna get this out of the way. We are not talking season 4, okay? We can't have any spoilers for that because I don't want any spoilers for that when it comes up. All right, so that maybe we can ask.
So we have a spin-off of The Boys that's coming out, I believe in the fall, right, Nate?
Yep. Yeah. Fall.
It's called Gen V. Gen V, as in V, Compound V. So it's called Gen V, and it's kind of like a college version of The Boys. College kids with powers. And some powers are great, and some powers are trash. I think there's one superhero on there that, pudding comes out of her fingers. That's their superpower. So it's one of those things where, they get bullied for their powers, or some are great, some aren't that good. But it's kids with all these powers, and they're trying to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, that's it.
And then that show is going to have some crossover with our show, so you'll probably see some cameos, some familiar people that you like from our show.
Right.
Can't tell you who. And then our show will probably be coming out towards the end of the year. So you'll have the spin-off, and then you'll have us. Spin-off, I think it's going to be fall? September?
Yeah, I would say fall.
Yeah, September-ish.
Yeah.
She can't even read the comics.
I mean, I would probably say no. Yeah, you can.
You will definitely enjoy it.
You can test it out for her.
Right.
You can test it out and see if it's something you might want her to watch.
Yeah. Every household's
it's still
different.
The Boys.
Yes.
I will say that.
That
it's
is
still
true.
The Boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So working on The Boys, you get this comic. First, let me just ask you, because take it back to season 1, and Kripke, coming off Supernatural, comes to you guys and it's listen, this is what's happening, or your agents, I assume.
Yeah.
And telling you about The Boys. What is your first thoughts?
So what was funny is initially I actually auditioned for The Deep.
Oh, wow.
Come on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Come on.
So what happened was my buddy, Anthony, not Anthony, but a friend of mine in Vancouver was like, hey, I'm auditioning for this superhero show. You should come out for it. And I was like, okay, cool. So I asked my manager. She got me an audition. And I was like, oh, this would be nice, but who knows? This probably won't happen. Whatever. So I do the audition. I don't hear anything. And then I was up for a TV movie that I didn't get, and I was kind of down about that. I went to the Dominican Republic. Somewhere. I went on vacation, and while I was on vacation, I got the audition for Black Noir. And this was December 20th. It was coming up to Christmas. They're like, we need it tomorrow. And I'm like, guys, I'm on vacation. I'll do it when I get back. So I took the time. I already did one of the scenes because my audition was for Black Noir, but it's an A-Train and a Deep scene. So I already did the Deep scene. And then the A-Train scene was the one where he's with the kid in the hospital. Oh, right. And so I did those. And then, I heard maybe a week later, January 3rd.
I just want to know, what were your lines?
It was A-Train's and Deep's lines.
Oh, so you didn't audition for? You didn't have a Black Noir scene?
No.
Oh, okay.
There were no Black Noir
Black
scenes.
Noir has no lines.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you audition for Black Noir?
Basically, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a physical character. So I tried to just put in some physicality to different moments.
Okay.
You know, like I imagine like, okay, who would they probably cast as the Deep and A-Train, and what would they be like? And I tried to create this like third character that could play off of them and like be
That's
like
interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, it
How
was
do you come to a decision like that? Because when it comes to the audition process, like a lot of people just assume you just go in there and read lines, but there's so much more that goes into it because casting directors want you to take big swings is usually what you hear.
Yeah.
How do you make a decision like that to go like, oh, I'm gonna just like, is that off the cuff? You get it in the moment?
I think, we have a process as actors, and you do so many auditions over the years that you develop your own process and your own instincts. And it was really just reading the material and then like seeing who this character was and imagining what they wanted for it and being like, okay, I got to show them something. I got to show them who I would be as this character while also honoring like the scenes that are written.
Right.
You know, so like I know this is what the characters want in these scenes. I got to do that, but I got to do it differently. You know? Yeah.
Same for you, Laz?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want it to stand out and be memorable.
Right.
Because you got to remember, in an audition, everybody gets the same sides. So everybody's going to be walking in there and doing the exact same words. So they got to watch like 200-300 tapes of the same shit over and over and over again. How are you going to stand out from everybody else? So I try my best to do something or multiple somethings to make my tape different from what's on the paper, make it memorable. And that kind of starts to become the beginning of creating a character. Because MM has a very specific way of talking that's different from how I speak. MM puts a exclamation point on every line that he says, and he holds the last letter. So he'll be like, so Butcher, if you come here, then we are going there. And so that little thing, just that one little thing, could be the difference between getting a call back or not. Because then they'll be like, oh, like, I don't know what the hell this guy did, but it's different, it's interesting, like, and then like selfishly as an actor, it forces the camera to stay on you till you finish the line. So like now all of a sudden you go from, we're going from here to there, to we're going from here to there. And now they get that push in, you know what I'm saying, at the end, and then end with you there, and you sit there and hold that face. And so like, when you're in an ensemble with like all these people who want camera time, the slower your lines come out, the more camera time you get. So, I just played this game in the audition, and I just kind of tweaked the way he talks, and because he's a guy from Harlem, I threw in some little words and things from 90s, because when I was living in New York, it was in the 90s. So I threw that in there, and it ended up becoming the DNA of his character with the whole 90s hip-hop T-shirts and the whole 90s hip-hop theme. So a lot of the stuff that I put into the audition ended up making it on the show.
And I gotta say, Eric is really great about like hearing us out and collaborating with us. And if we have an idea, he'll take it and he'll spin it and he'll make it into something else. So he'll take our idea and then use it to create something we weren't even thinking of. And I think that's one of the things that makes him such a great showrunner.
Yeah. Have you guys worked with a showrunner like Kripke before? Because I find that Kripke's one of those, him like Jonathan Tropper, kind of like these untapped talents. Like people just don't understand like the longevity of Supernatural, and then to come on to The Boys and another hit right out of the park.
Yeah, you can't take that for granted or underestimate that. Like I haven't worked with a showrunner like Kripke before.
Yeah, same here. It's a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift, yeah.
So we almost got into it a little bit, but and we're going to open it up to you guys as well, because I'd love to hear what you guys have to ask. But what did you think the first time you saw the script or your first experience with The Boys?
I was worried. I'm going to tell you why I was worried. I was worried because at the time when I saw this was 2000. We started 18?
18, yeah.
2018. So I got this November of 2017.
Right.
At that time, there was only one show in town, and that was Marvel. Period. There were no other superhero universes that were even on their heels.
Right.
And I felt like the expectation was so high that how would we, a TV show, be able to match people's expectations for a film? Because that's what we were going to be compared to. I knew the minute we came out, people were going to compare us to Marvel, and we're going to get crushed. And to my surprise, what has happened is the complete opposite. People are comparing Marvel to us.
Right.
And wondering why Marvel isn't more realistic or more, I guess, grounded in or darker in a lot of ways, the way we've been able to come out and kind of flip the genre a little bit. And listen, I'm a huge Marvel fan still, but it was interesting to see how that dynamic shifted. There were so many people who were watching Marvel who were thirsting for a little more darkness, a little more violence, a little more of today's themes implemented into the superhero genre. And so it was cool that we were able to give something different and not have to be, head to head. We were able to just come in kind of like through the back door and do the superhero genre differently.
For me, it was the opposite. Because I was living in Vancouver at the time, and Vancouver is the home of the CW. Right. So Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Batwoman, Legends of Tomorrow, and so
even iZombie.
iZombie too, yeah.
Man, another DC. I think it's DC.
Yeah, it's DC,
and it's the same universe.
Loosely, yeah,
right.
But I have friends, like David Ramsey is a friend of mine.
Oh, wow, yeah, Diggs.
Yeah, and so I'd hang out with like some people on Arrow and like, people on the Flash on my periphery and everything like that. And so I knew how much people loved superhero shows, and the Arrowverse had a great run. So many people loved it. And also, like, everybody knows, like, it was a limited budget. It was more family friendly. It was in the CW style. And so, and I know from talking to them how much love they received around the world. Right. So I was like, you put people in costumes, you give them a decent story, and they're just going to eat it up. Yeah. So, like, when I saw our script, I was like, oh, I was never in any doubt. I was like, we just need to fucking make something and people are going to like it. Because after just like watching the CW over the years and how people love Flash, how people love Arrow, they love Legends of Tomorrow.
This is the first year the CW does not have a superhero show in its fall lineup since Smallville came out.
That's fucking crazy.
Over 20
That's
years.
fucking crazy.
Right? Like, people don't understand the magnitude of that and the power of the cape, if you will.
Yeah, and so I think, like Laz, almost everybody on the show, I think, was, kind of hesitant, like, how are we going to be received? And I was just like, no, we're good. I was like, we're okay. We're okay, Yeah.
And the stellar cast, to get Carl Urban is one thing. Yeah. But I'm a huge Banshee fan. Like I said, Jonathan Tropper is one of my favorite showrunners out there, and Banshee was amazing. And Tony, Anthony Starr is, what a phenomenal act. I feel like people always ask because my favorite superhero is Wolverine, and they're like, who should play Wolverine? And I'm like, if it's not a Canadian, it's got to be Tony. Wow. Like, Tony is berserk. Like, if you watch him on Banshee and just. I've only seen one actor do that berserker rage. And it's been Tony and Daphne Keane in the Logan movie, right?
Yeah.
So so what's that like being around a couple powerhouses?
He's around Carl, I'm around Tony, because of like, those boys in the seven are a little different. I would say two things. Tony is he has a very like youthful energy to him. When he's like just relaxed and doing his thing, like he likes to joke around a lot. He likes to, just tease people, not just in a fun way. Yeah. But no, he's a lot of fun to hang out with. And then like when we're on set and we're like doing scenes, he like gets into like a Homelander simmer. So like in between scenes, he's like at 50% of Homelander. Oh, wow. You know, he's like kind of there. Then it's like we film, he's there, and then he goes back to 50. Then he's there, and he goes back to 50. And then after he's like, let's go, have drinks, hang out, and it goes back to like fun. But yeah, no, it's great hanging around him, and then just like seeing him up close and personal when you're doing the scenes, it's
he's intense.
It's a master class.
Yeah, Carl is too.
Right, like Carl's done it all.
Yeah, I just learned from these guys. You know, like for me, I love to steal from other actors when they do cool shit, and I'm like, ooh, I like that. I'm gonna do that in another movie. I can't do it on this one because he already did it, but I'm gonna take that with me, put it in my back pocket. And Carl's given me a bunch of stealable stuff that I've learned from that, you know, just makes your performance stronger. Yeah. You know, it's like good performances aren't by accident. You know, there's certain things that certain actors do that ensure that their performance is going to read very, very strong on camera. And so I like to watch the finished product, but I also like to watch while we're doing stuff, what is this guy doing that works so well? Like, why does it work so well? And so over the course of, you know, the last 4 seasons, I feel like my performance has gotten stronger because I've learned from some of my peers.
Do you go back and watch? Like, do you guys watch your like? I know a lot of actors will watch like once, you know, afterwards. Yeah. But do you go back and watch like are you watching season 1 now to see how you've progressed from season 1? I know it might be. I
definitely am. No, you know, I think.
Even on Ginny and Georgia.
Yeah, I think when it comes to performances, it's like, yeah, you have the one watch where you're just like, I don't know, personally, I like to watch it by myself with no one else around, and I could just like really like break down and just like look at what I'm doing. I'm super like analytical or like whatever of what I'm doing. And then you watch it a few times and maybe you appreciate it if you're like, okay, I did a good job, I can be happy with this. And then I think there's ultimately a time where you just kind of like, you see it enough and then you just like let it go, and it's just like, you did it and it's happened, you know?
Yeah. Well, you also watch too to see what made the show and what didn't make the show.
Yes.
You know, because we shoot a lot, you know, and probably I would say half of what we shoot never makes the show. You know, so there's a lot that we see for the first time along with you guys. Because we don't know out of the 300 takes that we do which one they end up choosing. You know, we might have a favorite take, but they might go with a completely different version. You know, so you know, you watch it also to see what the hell did they pick and why. Why'd you guys pick that shit?
And do you ever have those moments where you're like, I had a better take than that.
Wait,
like it was like
that's the one you got, you know? So.
Yeah.
And is that every episode, like every movie, every show? Like you're like, why that?
I don't know if it's everyone, but like I know there's things that I've shot before where I'm aware of the takes because maybe like someone behind the scenes is like showing me a pic or I'm seeing it on the playback or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was okay, cool. And then I see a different one, I'm just like, we had that.
I thought you said this.
Yeah.
It could be daunting. I got a question earlier when we were doing kind of the pre-panel here.
Yeah.
From one of our live listeners. I turned the live stream off though. From Australia.
Wow.
And it was a question. I guess I could point to you, Laz. Wanted to know if Carl Urban cracks you up on set as much as he does everybody.
Oh, all the time.
And he says that Carl Urban is the only Kiwi that is an official Aussie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, Carl literally is the serial practical joker on set, and I'm a practical joker too. And so Carl and I, we had our last head-to-head practical joke battle season 2. Where we were going back and forth. It went from set to Instagram, and then Love Sausage came about. And then once I had the Love Sausage scene, a lot of behind-the-scenes photos were shown to me, almost like a mob boss. And he let me know that if you want to keep the practical jokes going, we can keep this going, but I don't know if you want this out of my phone and into the world. And then I realized it wasn't practical jokes anymore. This is blackmail. It turned into blackmail.
He'll go there. He'll go there.
Carl will go there in a minute. And there is no limits to this man's practical jokes. And then I realized, all right, this guy's a professional. He takes it way too far. I'm done.
And you know what that made me think? Like you said, I'm like, yeah, Laz, you'd have to respectfully bow out at that point, you know. But like, you know, with Noir and his nut allergy.
Oh yeah.
You know, like that was us on the plane, and then Carl heard that and he's like, put that in the show. So part of me is like, did Carl have love sausage? Like, did he have a role in that?
It could have been.
Yeah.
He claims he didn't. But I remember when
It was a character.
Yeah, so
but
when
like
I got
the particular mother's milk love sausage angle.
When I got the script with the love sausage in it, Mother's Milk just saw him on a secret camera in his cell. That's it.
He did it.
That's it. And Mother's Milk said, "God damn, brother got a love sausage." That's it. That's it. The rest of the script, in the first iteration of the script, there was no sausage necktie. And then after our practical joke war started, all of a sudden we get a rewrite. And I'm in the trailer getting made up for the day, and he walks in with this little smirk and he's like, "Have you read the new rewrite?" And I'm like, "No."
Oh.
And he's like, "I think you should read it." And I'm like, "Okay." And then Tom Mayer walks in, who plays Frenchie. And he's all like, "Who's read the new rewrite?" And I'm like, "Oh, these motherfuckers are fucking with me. All right, they're fucking with me." Now he got Frenchie in on it. You know? Okay, whatever. And I'm like ignoring him still. And then Karen comes in, who plays Kamiko, you know, the female. And she's the most sweetest, you know, quiet, cute, but she cracks jokes too. And so she walks in, and she's kind of got a little smirk on her face. And I'm like, "Wait, let me guess. You read the new rewrite?" She's like, "Oh, I read the new rewrite." And I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" She's like, "You haven't read it?" I was like, "No." She's like, "You should read it." And then I'm like, then I look at Carl, and he's like red in the face. And I'm like, this motherfucker got me.
Absolutely.
And when I leave and I go to my trailer, and I'm like looking through it, and they were sitting there. It's just sitting there on my desk, and I'm like, oh shit! And everybody was in the makeup trailer like laughing their asses off. So to this day, I do think, and Kripke doesn't deny it, but he doesn't admit it, that Carl has something to do with love sausage.
Yeah.
I can strangle him.
I can hear him be like,
yeah,
well, you know, man,
yeah,
I think that was Carl.
To this day.
I think that was
Who's
Carl.
the best prankster on set?
No,
Is it
definitely Carl.
Carl.
Definitely Carl, yeah.
You give him a good run for his money, though? Or you?
Oh, I had him on his heels. He had to get love sausage. Because he couldn't have beaten me otherwise. This is how bad it was.
Well, this might get out, you know. This might get out.
He already knows it. This is how good I got him. So I was like, okay, I know I'm going up again. This is David and Goliath. Carl used to love to take selfies on set. He would do all these like real sexy, smoldering selfies. You know, and it's like you're looking at him play Butcher, and he's like this dude that's just kicking everybody's ass, and all of a sudden they yell cut, and he like takes a selfie. He's like, and you can see him like looking at himself like, you know, juicing up. Like remember when Hulkamania, you know, Hulk used to juice up. Like Carl sit there and he's just like turning himself on, and finally when he's like super horny, he takes the picture. So like I told Jack, who plays Huey, I'm like, yo, bro, he's doing it again. And he's like, I know. And I'm like, let's do the exact same picture and post it on Instagram. So I took the exact same picture and posted it. Jack took the exact same picture and posted it.
I took the exact same picture.
He took the exact same picture.
I never posted it
because his costume had been altered for the scene we were shooting, and we would have given it away.
Also, I didn't want to enter that war.
But that shit was funny because he did it in his black noir costume, so you can't see the expression on his face, but you know that it's him. You know what I'm saying? It was like we were in this house, and he like took a picture on a bed, like
nails all over my body.
Right, and he's like looking away, like somebody took it of him, but it was actually him, like taking a picture of himself looking away. And so everybody did the same shit. The crew started doing it. The entire crew, grips, electric, the director did it, the camera guys did it, everybody posted it on Instagram. So like all of a sudden Carl's feed starts coming up and it's everybody doing it. Then it got out there, then people started photoshopping the soups in the same bedroom. They even photoshopped Anthony's dog. It was the funniest shit. Like literally like 50 pictures came out. And then Carl got mad. Carl got mad. Because it was like, it had turned into a thing. It turned into an animal in and of itself. That's awesome. And that's when I knew. I was like, then he started to, like, I knew I had gotten him when he started asking, who started this? Who started this? You know, because he couldn't take on 50 people. It's like, that's how you got to beat Carl at Prank Wars. It's like, he's Thanos. You got to get the Avengers, you know? And that's how I was able to get him. And then, you know, I got strangled by a dick, so. Yeah.
What about on the 7 side? Who's
I would say, you know, I think Anthony likes to joke the most. I don't know if we are like prank each other as much.
Is it like just you were on Xena, you got to be a prankster?
No, it's like there's 2 shows.
You got
the boys and you got the 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only time we really hang out is in our pastime, when we're like celebrating each other's birthdays or going out to dinners.
Yeah.
But when we're working, I barely ever see Nate.
Yeah.
Ever.
We have like a couple scenes like in the show together.
Right.
You know, like I think it's their different vibes. Like I went over to your guys' set like one time. You guys were playing music. You were chilling. I was like, "Fuck, this is good."
Playing backgammon.
Yeah. I was like, "This is chill." I
Our
didn't know we
set's
could play
super
music.
relaxed. I heard you guys are a lot more like.
Yeah, you
and
know.
you got the suits that kind of like keep you.
We're like getting in and out of the suits all the time.
Right.
You know, and also even on the 7 side, it's like if you look at season 1 and 2 and even 3, it's like there are a lot of scenes. Like the boys do everything together. Mm-hmm. You know, and like you guys have your own mini missions, but like the 7, like individually, we have our own storyline. So while we'll come together at times, it's not like we're together all the time.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, because you're off doing your own thing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. You know.
How refreshing was that to get that last season and get that really big arc and for us to get to know so much about you only to spoilers, but come on now. If you're in this room, you knew
it's been a year. It's been like a year. It was great. I thought it was a perfect realization of his inner world. Yeah. Because initially I always approached Noir as a kid. Just because of how I felt in the suit when he's a martial artist, and when I started martial arts, I was 6 years old, you know, and I loved Raphael, but I also loved Michelangelo. And so both of them influenced how I approached the character. So it's like when Noir was fighting, he was Raphael, but when he was off duty, he was Michelangelo. Right. You know, and there's this like playful kid element, you know, that I brought to him, and when I got the script for episode 307, I was like, this is the perfect realization of his inner world, because for me, the key to Noir is like, what are you not expecting? Right. You're expecting him to be scary. You're expecting him to be able to kill you. You're expecting him to be a menace, but you're not expecting him to have a soft side or an imaginative side or a vulnerable side. And the more like childlike or innocent or goofy or vulnerable that he was, the more that would add like a dimension to him, right. You know, and allow people to see a place that they could relate, you know? And so I love that. I thought it was perfect for the character, and I had a lot of fun doing that.
I love it. And I love seeing how much you both put into the art, because and that's the one thing I think a lot of people misplace about it. It truly is an art, and it takes a lot of work, and that's why there are so many different artists that do so much great work out there. And seeing that, you know, taking part of your past, you know, your love for TMNT, you know, and incorporating it there, I want to ask Laz, you went to legendary Harvard. Or not Harvard, Howard. I'm sorry, excuse me, Howard. I don't know.
The black Harvard.
No, it is though. That's what I mean. I grew up watching the Cosby Show in Canada, so I've known Howard just through that, and you know Stephen A. Smith. And did any of your background there help inform who Mother's Milk is?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
How so?
You know, because Mother's Milk, you know, the way I kind of approached him, you know, he's from Harlem.
Right.
He's, you know, the show takes place in New York, and out of the boys, he's the only real New Yorker on the show. And so I really wanted to give him that black Harlem, Black Panther, freedom fighter type of energy, just to really bring some of that Harlem essence on the show as much as possible. So if you look at season 3, where we spend a lot of time in Mother's Milk's apartment, at a certain point that becomes our hideout. I designed that entire apartment with the set decorators who has passed away. Art Arv, rest in peace, you know, really allowed his team to take my cues on how Mother's Milk's apartment should look. You know, in the script it just said Mother's Milk's crappy apartment. That's all it said. Right. You know, and I felt like there's no way a guy that's that OCD, whose sneakers literally every episode are crystal clean.
Right.
And he has a t-shirt, a different, you know, rap t-shirt for every episode. His apartment should reflect that. You know, we should feel hip hop. You know, the birth of hip hop when you go into in this apartment. We should feel Harlem. We should feel some type of black pride. You know, because Harlem has that just in the DNA of New York. And so when you go in his apartment, like, you'll see a DJ setup. You know, you'll see pictures on the wall of everything from Obama to Martin Luther King to Malcolm X to Huey P. Newton, you know, to
up there?
Biggie.
Yeah,
Biggie's
yeah.
on there. You know, so you got everything from hip hop artists to his daughter, you know, because that's his whole thing. And then, you know, you have little cues to, you know, his Harlem people who he grew up kind of idolizing. And so, yeah, I mean, they've been very, very open to me giving them cultural cues for who MM is. Because at the end of the day, you know, you really have this juxtaposition of who MM represents when it comes to culturally and racially. And he represents the black man that is fighting for justice, not just for black people, but for people in general.
Right.
You know, but he has his brand of justice that in season 3 we explored how it affected him, you know, and where it was born.
Yeah.
And it's funny because his brand of justice was born the day his OCD was born, you know, and that was when Soulja Boy came into his neighborhood in Harlem to catch these kids who had stolen a car, but it was a parallel for over-policing,
right?
You know, where he takes the car and throws it through my apartment, killing my grandfather and half of my family. So at that moment, you know, his favorite superhero, Soulja Boy, who's kind of like our universe's Captain America, he represented justice, you know, the American way, what's good about our country. All of a sudden, that was wiped clean in one incident where he kills his family. And so now it's like he looks at superheroes differently now. For the rest of his life now, he's affected on, you know, how he perceives superhero, how he perceives justice, how he even monitors, you know, how he goes about life. And the best compliment I've gotten since doing this show has been people with OCD who have come up to me and said, this show is the first show that has shown OCD for what it really is and not made a mockery or not made us the butt of the joke. You know, because everybody always kind of depicts OCD like, oh, this guy has to have his phone like this and not like this, and he washes his hands 20 times, and he has to tap something 3 times, and, you know, so they kind of make fun of it. But in our show, we really wanted to approach OCD from a more human perspective, a more mental health perspective, how it's Mother's Milk's superpower. You know, like, even though people look at OCD as a mental health issue, It's what's kept him alive all this time. And it's what he's trying to hide the most from his daughter. And his daughter knows he has it, but he's trying to hide it from her because to him it's something that holds him back, and it's a sickness. But in season 3, we kind of show how it's something that he learns to embrace, you know, and he learns that even though it can trouble him mentally, it can also be something that he doesn't have to be ashamed of. And people thank me for it, you know, and you know, I always try to pass on these notes to Eric Kripke and say, look, man, you know, whatever we're doing, it's working. Because there's a community of people out there who felt unseen, and now they feel seen, you know, and they feel like we've done something respectfully. So that feels good.
That's awesome. I mean, and the fact that Erica takes all those notes as well, and you said he lets you give a lot of input into character as well. How has that been, and how do you think that affects the overall message of the show? Because a lot of people from the outside are just going to see this raunchy, you know, parody of a superhero show, but this deals with mental addiction, this deals with families, this deals with so many. What are the things that you think people miss the most that the message the show gives?
You know, I can't say what people miss the most because,
well, in your opinion, I guess.
Yeah, because you know, I think everyone's watching it through their own eyes and everyone's seeing different things. And there's so much in the show for people to pick up. And you can see it from so many different angles, you know? So without a conversation with everyone who watches it, I can only guess, right? But in regards to your first question, I think Eric has a distinct message that he wants to send or a story that he wants to tell. But, you know, in the examples that me and Laz are giving, like, where that makes a difference is the humanity of the character. You know, where we're able to point out things or get really specific about our characters, it gives them dimension and depth and nuance. And I think part of what makes Eric such a great showrunner is he's open to that and he incorporates that. And the more specific and nuanced and human the characters are, the more they come across as real people. And the more you see real people going through this journey, the more you relate to it. You know, so it makes the message hit home that much harder because you can see, like, these are real people in this circumstance. It's not just a character or a two-dimensional character. It's like, this is a human with flaws, with wounds, with struggles, with desires. And then when you put that into a greater story, it just hits home so much more.
And we saw that especially with your character at the end of the year. Like, we're talking about the good guys, but really the heels or the villains of the story. And us as fans, we're feeling horrible for you, you know?
I was rooting for Noir.
Right, everybody was rooting for Noir.
And that's the funny thing, it's like, they're characters that one season you hate their fucking guts and they're evil as hell and you fucking like, why won't they die? And then the next season you're like, you're empathetic and you're shedding a tear for. Season 2, I hated Noir. Season 3, I was like, no.
Right.
I love this guy.
You're empathetic for Homelander at certain points too. And you're like, how is this happening? No,
everyone's like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's never one point. I mean, all right. Maybe that was a little bit too much. Maybe it's my bad.
You guys didn't feel bad when Homelander was getting his butt kicked by Soldier Boy and Butcher.
But what his dad?
It was like,
dad.
He did do that. You know
what was great is that remember when we were at Fan Expo
and we thought it was rain
about that. We talked to Tony about that before they actually aired that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Tony, are they gonna do the scene? He's like, mate, just watch. And I was like, when I saw that at the end, I was like, oh my God, they actually did.
Yeah.
Like, what is and we'll open it up to questions if you guys are cool.
Yeah, of course.
What is the one most like batshit crazy? You're like, I can't believe they did that. I hear this season there's like
I'm gonna save mine for this season.
There's stuff.
But in the previous 3, and I know you've been asked this a million times, but
and last season I got coated in superhero sperm.
Yes, he did.
So imagine if this season is worse.
You got coated in mother's milk
and father's milk.
I gotta say, obvious. There's two, right? There's this the obvious one of the guy inside the dick. That tops the cake for a lot of people. But what got me personally is Gecko. If you guys remember Gecko, he could get his limbs chopped off and grow them back on. And I remember I was walking on set one day and I saw the prosthetics and it looked so real. It was so gross. I was like, holy fucking shit.
Mine was still one day I walked in the makeup trailer and I happened to see the Deep's gills. They had the Deep's gills.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, it's the Deep's gills. And I stuck my hand in it and it still had lube. And I was like, ah! And this shit was just coming out, flying all over. It was the nastiest. And it was cold because it was just sitting, oh man. Yeah, on our set you learn, don't put your hand in anything. Don't touch anything because it's going to gross you out.
Yep.
That's amazing. You guys have some questions? All right, I got you over here.
Yeah, more of a personal note. What is your current telephone ringtone?
Depends who's calling.
I would tell Laz to call me, but there's no service here.
Yeah, I don't have any service.
I'm gonna pull it up so you guys can hear it.
I have a boring one. I got the Apple.
Let's see, where's ringtone?
My ex-wife's I have two. One is Guns N' Roses. I used to love her.
Oh, nice. Oh, no.
And the second one is Darth Vader's Imperial March.
Okay, all right. Tell me if anyone knows what this is. It's a bit of a remix.
Oh, wow.
There's a bunch going on there.
See, that would stress me out.
Okay, it's Pokemon.
Oh, right. That's right. Because you're a huge Pokemon fan.
Yeah.
You got Charizard?
Charmander.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm Gen X, so I'm a
That's
little
fair.
bit past
That's
that.
fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I heard that that was the prize.
That was my thing. That was my thing back in the day. And when Noir was talking to Buster Beaver, my prep was imagining that I was talking to Pokemon.
Come on.
Yeah, it was great. It's my
Who were you
childhood
talking
dream. Charmander and
That was
Pikachu.
it?
And
Oh,
Pikachu.
Pikachu, of
Yeah.
course.
Did you cry?
A little. Yeah. It was a very personal touching
awesome.
moment.
Great question. What was your name? Sorry. Thanks, Maggie. Who's up next? Anybody?
Oh, we got one over there.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Hey, what's your name? Kevin.
If one of the seven or one of the boys would switch teams, who do you think?
Ooh.
I mean,
Good question.
outside of Annie, who's already switched teams, I could answer this question, but I don't know. It's you get into stuff. Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff we can't say.
Yeah. Well, I will say, from the boys' side, someone who I could imagine switching sides is Frenchie.
I was going to say the same thing.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit of an amoral bent at times.
He's super loyal, so that would keep him from switching sides. But out of everybody on our team, he's the one who's the most likely to want V and to just use it as a drug. Yeah. So I would think if presented with the opportunity to shoot up with the real V, not Temp V, the real V, Frenchie would jump at that in a second.
For sure.
Fair.
Who's next? Sorry.
There's some over here. Yeah.
Go in the back and then Jedi next. What's your name? AJ, what you got?
In the show, Black Noir has a tree nut or peanut allergy. Do you really have a peanut or tree nut allergy?
Yeah, and I'll give you the story. So we were on our way to Comic Con in San Diego.
And now, at the point in which we were on our way to Comic Con, Black Noir did not have any
allergy or anything.
He didn't have any weaknesses that we knew of.
So we get on the flight, and the flight attendant is going by. I'm like, hey, just so you know, I have a nut allergy. And she's like, okay, I'll tell everybody. Meanwhile, we're on the flight, and someone a row down is eating nuts. And all of a sudden, I'm smelling it. It's giving me a headache. And I look over, I'm like, hey, I have a nut allergy. Can you not eat that? And she was like, oh my God, so sorry. She put it away. But by that time, it was like very much in the air in the cabin. And because it's a cabin, like it was just circulating. It wasn't going anywhere. So I put my shirt over my nose like this, you know, to just because that's the only thing I could do because I felt like
This
I
was
gonna
before
pass out.
COVID. Nobody was wearing masks.
No, I was going to pass out. And so we land, and I was like, oh, my God. Thank God. I'm so happy because now I can breathe. And I look over to Laz. He's like, oh, I thought it was me. I thought you were doing it because of me. And it's like, do I smell? Like, what is this? And I'm like, no. I have a nut allergy. And so we were laughing about it. And I think at that point, Carl came over. And he's like, what? And he's like, oh, that's hilarious. I'm going to pitch that to Kripke. So we're talking, and I think there was a scene, because that fight scene was planned with Maeve, but originally I think she was just going to throw Noir out of the 7th tower, you know, so he's going to fall like hundreds of feet to the ground. But Carl was like, no, I think it would be better if he just had a tree nut allergy. And Kripke started cracking up. He's like, yeah, it's funny because it's so simple and it's so easy, you know, and so that's how it made it in.
We were all on a flight to from here to San Diego for Comic Con, and this was in the middle of filming season 1, right? Two. We were in the middle of filming season 1. Season 2, we had already filmed season 1, and we got to the airport, and we're in the lounge waiting for our flight, and we're all doing shots. So we all get kind of hammered, and then when we get on the plane, we keep doing shots, and we get a little more hammered. And by the time we land, Black Noir's nut allergy was born.
Yeah.
So that's something that came about from just us hanging out, talking, cracking jokes. You know, this poor guy almost dies on the plane. And boom, we found Black Noir's weakness.
And again, you know, you talk about Kripke's like openness to ideas, and it's something that like, you know, nobody would think of typically. And then we just like, hey, what if that happened? And he's like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. And then like, it's such a small but unique thing that became such a staple of his character that so many people responded to. And that comes out of us just like, you know, having fun and like making jokes. And then
we were like, Kripke.
It's going to be great.
Nate almost died on the plane.
I would be worried though, like, because Comic-Con, don't you have thousands of people come up to you with peanuts as like
I was really worried
legit,
about
like,
that.
I know, I'm like,
like
wow.
there was like a two-sided thing where like I was kind of glad they told everyone I had a nut allergy because then no one would just like come up to me with Almond Joys. But I was kind of still being like, everyone knows I have a nut allergy now. It's a little bit.
Nobody's asked you to sign their Almond Joy?
No, luckily not. And I don't want anybody getting that idea.
Right.
But the amount
Everybody
of like,
in the audience is like, oh Jesus,
put it away. But like the amount of times like during that season, people would like DM me with like peanut emojis or be like, hey, you want an Almond Joy? And I'm like, this is kind of funny, but kind of not. Like it's in the middle. You know, and so yeah, it was a mixed bag.
Great spot for any dark humor.
Yeah.
Jedi.
Ooh. So that was probably one of the most satisfying feelings. And the main thing is because since season 1, I've been pitching Kripke, MM needs a fight. Don't worry, MM's gonna fight. Season 1 ends, no fight. Season 2 comes about. Kripke, give me a fight. Let me fight somebody. Let me beat somebody's ass. Just one good fight. You know, let me take on 2-3 people. No fight. Season 2 comes about. Nothing. Then season 3, finally, Kripke. Oh, MM's gonna get a fight finally. And then I'm like, yeah, really? Finally? He's like, yeah. You're gonna get to fight Todd. I'm like, who the hell is Todd? And then he tells me the whole Todd story, and I'm like, okay, well, all right, we'll see where this goes. Like, I don't like the idea of losing my girl, but okay. And then the day that I meet Todd, he shows up, and I'm expecting this guy, 6'5", you know, big, muscular dude. And he shows up on set, and he's like up to here, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, I finally got a fight. I finally got to hit somebody, and he's like, lower than my shoulder? Like, this is the best you could come up with? And then
Poor
Kripke was like, no, it's not how big he is. It's just, we want to show how, like, the people you don't expect, to kind of, like, fall for the Homelander stuff, how anybody can get, like. And I was like, all right. But season 4, be careful what you ask for. Season 4, is like, he can't stop swinging.
Nice.
So, I got what I asked for. You'll see when it comes out. But yeah, I put a lot of work in season 4.
I'm not even going to ask you for the spoiler. I'm just assuming there's going to be a point where Butcher's taking the right cross from
Oh wow, you think so?
A couple.
You guys think so?
I think so.
Damn.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
All right.
I guess everyone will have to wait and see.
Any other questions? All right.
I was actually talking to Justin Apples, and he was saying that Kripke, once he knows your weakness in real life, he loves to write to it. So I was wondering, he mentioned, Laz specifically said that you don't really like gooey stuff on your recording.
Wow.
Or penises around my neck.
So I'm wondering what has been written that you're like, really doing this to me?
Yeah, I would say when he found out how OCD I am in real life, like the fact that I like to be clean and I don't like the nasty shit. Then all of a sudden, like, I'm covered in whale guts, and I'm in every scene that's disgusting because now he loves to see me suffer. And he's big on, like, really pushing people's real buttons to get a more authentic performance. So yeah, you have.
Yeah, again, we have the nut allergy, and I'm trying to think of anything else. That's all I can. Yeah, the nut allergy is the biggest thing.
You're just trying to avoid Kripke, right? You're just like, I don't want any personal
you
information
don't
getting to
know.
Kripke.
Nope.
You
about
can't
it.
tell him
Nope,
anything about
nope,
your real
nope.
life situation. Yeah.
Awesome. Steve?
You said you're not going to autograph any Alma choices. Did anybody ever ask you to autograph a giant dildo?
Woo!
Wow.
Giving everyone ideas.
So
By the way, that's my co-host.
I've autographed a bunch of milk cartons, but I have not autographed a dildo yet. So if any one of you
Yet.
brought your dildo, I'm right outside. I got a booth, any color you want. I got all kinds of Sharpies.
I knew I should have brought it.
I mean, I have to say, like, love Sasha's paraphernalia. I think Amazon is, like, missing out on something. I
Right.
think if they made that available,
When-
people would go crazy.
Are there
Oh
action
my
figures?
God! No, I just got this idea. What if there was a Mother's Milk Love Sausage plushie?
So here's the funny thing that nobody really knows because Amazon won't approve it, but Kripke has all these outtakes of soup porn that he shot. If you remember season 2 where Lamplighter's watching soup porn and Huey has to, like, babysit him and he's just, like, been watching like 8 hours of soup porn straight. So they actually shot soup porn. They actually shot these soups doing porn. And what Kripke wanted to do was he wanted to start a Pornhub, but for soups.
Soup Hub.
And Amazon has not let him do it. He wanted to actually
That'd be
put up
so
a porn
good.
site.
So good.
Of all the different soup porns. And they're like, they shot at least 10 different soup porns. And then he wanted to put, like, all the Herogasm outtakes. Because let me tell you something. What you guys saw in Herogasm is not what we saw. It was way worse.
Have you seen the comics and how close were what we didn't get was
Listen,
like, from the
they
comics?
they had cameras in the toilets. They have footage of someone taking a number 2 from the toilet's POV. Yes. Like, it got wild.
It was a lot.
And it was like 90% of the stuff that we shot did not air. Like, it did not pass Amazon legal. And they knew it wasn't going to pass Amazon's legal, but they were like, better to have it than to not, because if we get 3 of these things passed, then
Right.
we got some good shit. Literally some good shit. And like this, like, we are scarred for life. Like, that's the type of stuff that you can't unsee. But yeah, the stuff
Yeah.
that we were able to air is, I would say, PG-13 compared to the stuff we shot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
All right, last question.
Kind of goes in line with what you were talking about, but was there anything that was discussed or written at first, and then someone thought, no, that's probably not a good idea to put it in? Is there anything that didn't get put in?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. You know,
Because you guys go all the way.
what I would, I feel like I've heard bits that I'm trying to remember, but I know, like, I know they really had to fight for, like, Deep and his dolphins in the beginning. Like, that was something they're like, I don't know, that's too much. And Eric was like, no, we're doing it.
And then
Even the octopus
the
stuff.
octopus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff back
That-
and forth with that.
How that wasn't called Octopussy, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but definitely, there's definitely. If Eric could go farther, he probably would.
But we do. We shoot it. It just never makes. It doesn't make the show.
Yeah.
But we have to suffer the consequences.
He-
For you, we
he
do it for
does,
you
he
because we
does.
love you
I've
guys.
been lucky, but yeah.
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 Well,
that
ladies
would
and
be
gentlemen,
something.
have you all had a great time here? Heard some good stories? That's right. Let's keep it
Thank
going.
you, guys.
For the boys, Laz Alonso, Nate Mitchell. Thanks so much, guys. This was amazing.
Thank you. Tell all your friends to watch season 4.
Except for you. You have to wait a couple of years.